Here at Dublin manager Mick Bohan in Croke Park for the launch of the Ladies All-Ireland Series. Mick, we're back to the time of the year when all the slog from the winter training is what it's about.
Yeah, there you go. Bit of fine tuning now and trying to get players on the pitch. So yeah, and a very condensed season from here on in. Like, you know, for any team at this stage of the year, you know that all you've left is whatever 6 or 7 games max, and in an 11-week period. So looking forward to it now.
Look, Meath and Dublin, they're the names on everyone's lips with the development rivalry between the two teams. But you know, there's more than 2 teams in the All-Ireland Series, as we know. Where else do you see, you know, teams to be watching out for?
And I suppose that you know, from our perspective, obviously it's, you know, ourselves and Meath, just because the way the provincial competition has unfolded. I suppose that's probably just become a little bit prominent at the moment, and we're single focused in that, even though the All-Ireland Series is in touching distance. Obviously we've a provincial final the weekend, so you probably do get caught up in those things a little bit. But what I've certainly seen over the last couple of weeks is there's a lot more teams closing the gap. So, you know, in the past, while you might have even paid a little bit of lip service to it, yeah, there's definitely, you know, 6 or 7 teams who are in with a great shout.
Talking about preparations for the All-Ireland, the result of Saturday's Leinster final will determine which group you go into. So
that's it.
It's a case of getting over that game first and then having a look where you are after that.
Absolutely, look, you either end up in a 4 team group or 3 team group, and realistically, we're obviously going out to try and win a game on Saturday night, but it's irrelevant. It's, you know, whatever happens Saturday night, Sunday morning we move on and we get ourselves ready for 2 weeks later for the start of the All-Ireland Series. And there's 3 cups up for grab. The National League, we didn't win it. The Leinster Championship is up for grabs, and the All-Ireland Series is up for grabs. So we're not in the business of trying to leave silverware behind us.
And look, it's been a bounce of the ball between Dublin and Meath. At the last 3 occasions they met: last year's All-Ireland final, the league meeting, and then the earlier meeting in the Leinster Championship. Expecting the same again on Saturday?
I can't, and particularly the way they play, I can't see big scores been clocked up. You know, this, you know, 2-point or 3-point win is a big win for either team. Parnell Park, we were probably a little bit frustrated, not quite sure that we would have got the rub of the green that day, and it's kind of one of those games that was difficult to assess because there were some really poor decisions which affected the course of the game, and that's not moaning about it. Like, I mean, certainly the goal any other day of the week it was a free out and ends up in the back of your net, and in a game where it's so difficult to get scores, that's a massive swing, you know. And then we looked dead and buried, but typical of the group, they showed what they're capable of. They just dug in and went after it, and, you know, we certainly felt we could have snatched a draw out of that one, but it wasn't to be.
Is it quite frustrating as a manager and coach, you know, depending on the officials at a game, particularly the tackle rule seems to be up to widespread interpretation?
Hugely, and that day it was ridiculous, because I mean it was certainly a different interpretation from one end of the pitch to the other. But what's really frustrating, and I've said it inside, is as the competition goes on, there's more contact allowed. Like, what was not allowed in Parnell Park will be allowed in the All-Ireland Series, and ultimately they're so well conditioned, they're moving at such pace, there has to be a leeway in the amount of contact that's made. But equally, like, I mean, as we've said numerous times, it has to be the same rules applied, and we certainly felt we didn't get a look at it that day, but that's the way it goes, and you know, to take it on the chin and move on. But it is a source of frustration.
If Dublin make it to the All-Ireland final this year, this is your 6th year in charge, it'll be your 6th final. There's always, the word hunger is always thrown around with players, how they can keep coming back and keep going. But as a manager and a coach, you know, with the amount of time that you have to put in yourself, how do you keep coming back to do it year after year?
Yeah, it's a little bit like looking at your kids, and they still need something, because you still provide. So that's ultimately, you know, our onus of responsibility is to our group. So it's really important for us to keep coming back with fresh stuff and to try and push them. But the reality, you know, was that after last year's All-Ireland defeat, wasn't difficult to carve out the path that we had to go. So that's the competitive nature of teams at this level. So it hasn't been difficult to either motivate them or ourselves. We've had a probably rough enough run through the National League with injuries to key players, and you're always obviously hoping that the ground opens up for you over the summer and you get a free run at that.
The shortened league didn't give you much time to develop new players.
No.
I mean, there is one or two that have stood out. Jess Tobin has been a revelation in the backs, and Katedade has stood out in midfield. Are you really impressed with those yourself?
Yeah, incredible. When we sit back at the end of the season, whatever we've achieved at that stage, there's certain things you look back with huge pride. Jess has been outstanding. Probably one of the best man markers that has come into the group in the 6 years that I've been here, and she played no representative underage football. It's incredible. Katedade, who, as you well know, was our nutritionist, on a night out threw the gauntlet out that she should be playing on this team, and my God, has she backed it up. But for a girl who's come from a completely different sport, to show her battling qualities out there, and she's done it in all of the games. So, and even in her own head, I'm sure with Lauren and Goldie coming back, she was probably a bit concerned, but she's been a ferocious warrior in the arena, and I'm delighted for her, because it was a brave plunge to make at this stage in her career, but she's gone into it wholeheartedly, and she's getting the rewards.
So this Saturday, as you say, we've the Leinster final. It's here in Croke Park as part of a double header with the men's. Happy with the choice of venue?
Good question. Very happy, yeah. Obviously delighted to be in headquarters. Pitch looks obviously fabulous, as it always does. And looking forward to that game. It's another game that is going to bring your group on for the summer, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do. I mean, in the past, the provincial championship may not have prepared you for the big challenges ahead, but these games certainly will.
Okay, Mick, thanks very much.